it is time to start round number 3 at World Championship 2023. In the blue corner, it's Keijiro Yamashita. And in the red corner, it's SwordsoulMateo Augusto Renteria Pastor.
So we have a Latin America matchup versus Japan. Awesome. Cool to see these two duelists going at it.
The great thing about the World Championship is that, like in most circumstances, these two could never play against each other. And yet, here they are. Keijiro Yamashita is starting off with Nimble Beaver.
Ooh, cool. The card we have not seen. This can only lead me to believe it might be a deck that revolves around level 2 monsters.
So Nimble Beaver goes ahead and summons the Nimble Angler from the deck. And then we see Sprite cards as well. All right, Sprite Red is special summoned. Next up, 2 level 2s are stacked up. Nope, they're sent to the graveyard.
Might be Sprite Sprend. Yep, here comes Sprite Sprend. Sprite Sprend, this is one of the cards that really revolutionized Sprite in general, able to send Nimble Angler to the graveyard. Then that Nimble Angler is going to let you special summon 2 copies of Nimble Beaver. This is often why we see 2 copies of Nimble Angler, minimum 2, if not 3, being played in the decks. Because when you summon that first Nimble Beaver, you want to be able to get a Nimble Angler from your deck, so you're able to still special summon 2 copies of Nimble Beaver.
And that's going to resolve. Now this is interesting. Bringing Sprite to this tournament could be a little risky because Starter is limited,
Blue.
Jet is limited, and Blue is limited.
Still finding a way to access 2 monsters onto the field. The red's going to protect him from monster effects from the hand here from Juan.
We'll just have to see what else is going with it. So we see the Nimble stuff. You've got Beasts, you've got Sprint.
Looks like he's considering overlaying the 2 Beavers here. So you can either use the Sprint as material for Gigantic Sprite, but sometimes you want to leave the Sprint up while you have your Xyz monsters, because it can also activate as a form of interruption. If your opponent summons a monster, or special summons a monster while it's on the field, you can detach a material from your Xyz monsters and return it to the hand. So it looks like he's going to overlay the Beavers, or if he's going to use the Sprint as a material.
A lot of back and forth on this decision.
Looks like he's going to link away the Beavers for... Ooh!
Oh, Tri-Brigade Farragut.
Oh, there's something up here. There's an Aruse, and it's Tri-Brigade Farragut, the Baron Blossom.
All right, so we've got Tri-Brigade Sprite.
And here we go. Going to summon Kit.
Activates the first effect of Farragut. Special summons a level 4 or lower Beast, Beast Warrior, or Wing Beast from your hand. Now, it can't use monsters as link material for the rest of the turn, except those 3 types.
He's going to banish, it looks like 2. He's going to be able to summon to the zone unlocked by that Farragut pointing to the left.
And this is a matchup between 1-1 duelists, for the record. So you really don't want to get that second loss early because you're on the razor's edge for the rest of the day.
Yeah, so definitely an important matchup even this early into the tournament. The previous World Championships, we'd already be halfway through the tournament, but we have 7 rounds this time as opposed to the 5. So you have to win a significantly more number of rounds to make that top 8 cutoff. It looks like he just called for a timeout, maybe.
There are no timeouts in Yu-Gi-Oh! There are slow play warnings, though.
It's taking some time. He's already banished the 2, but hasn't summoned anything from the extra deck just yet.
Yeah, this is with the effect of Tri-Brigade Kit.
I think he has to be thinking between something like Double Dragon Lords or Bear Brum, if I had to guess.
Yes. You just received word that he did, in fact, receive a slow play warning. This is kind of a textbook case. So Bear Brum is the call here.
And he's going to overlay for Gigantic Sprite with Sprite Sprint.
Yes, so if you're keeping track at home, if you get a warning for slow play, there's also an automatic 3-minute time extension added on to the match. A lot of indecision on Yamashita's side.
Assessing the game state, analyzing the game board, has gigantic sprite. They might be waiting for the judge, but no. Not sure what they're expecting.
Right now we are under the effect of, so the Tri-Brigade effect, right, that restricts the materials you can use for link summons.
Yeah.
Link summons specifically.
I think that's what he's wanting to read, it looks like. Or maybe he's wondering if Bear Brum has, because Bear Brum also has a limitation. You can only special summon Tri-Brigade monsters, but that's if you use the effect when it's into the graveyard.
Correct. So we're not at that point yet.
I love seeing the OCG versions of the cards because they're all in different rarities than what I'm used to here over the TCG, and it's so cool to see like the rare Bear Brum.
I think I prefer the foil Bear Brum.
Oh, me too, me too. And he's going to use that gigantic sprite to special summon Tri-Brigade Karas from the deck.
All right, and there's plenty of material loaded up there to use Karas' effect as well. Get something else from the extra deck.
Yeah, the synergy between the Nimble package, being able to use the Unlock Sprite Sprint, and then being Beast and being able to use them for the Tri-Brigades is really fantastic. It kind of shows why these two strategies line up really well, along with, you know, Kit and Karas also being level 2 monsters themselves. But he won't be able to summon anything higher than a level 2, rank 2, or link 2 now that he's used the effect of Gigantic Sprite.
So we're not seeing any Apollosis or anything like that, but we are seeing Tri-Brigade Mercurier. So we're getting the text of that real fast as well. Tri-Brigade Mercurier, you often see that in Branded, not so much Tri-Brigade itself, let alone this particular hybrid. Though, in Master Duel, I played Tri-Brigade Sprite for a while. I switch a lot between Tri-Brigade Sprite and Live Twin Sprite.
Yeah, it's still useful in the Tri-Brigade, because if you pack the Albion, the Shrouded Dragon as well, you're able to banish it with a Tri-Brigade effect, and then add that Albion. You can send a Branded Sword to add the Mercurier back to your hand, so you kind of get a lot of pluses off of here. So he's going to banish the 2 to summon Ancient Warrior's Oath Double Dragon Lords. That is a cool one.
Yeah, that's really nice. Then we're going to get the effect of Mercurier to add Albion the Shrouded Dragon to hand.
Free cards are nice. And he's going to send that Branded Sword from the deck to the graveyard to put Albion the Shrouded Dragon on the bottom, and that's going to allow him to draw a fresh card, and then he can use that Branded Sword to banish it from the graveyard to add that Mercurier to the hand.
Nice little resource loop there. Sets face down, draws 1 card.
This is where you're looking for something like Infinite Permanence or some sort of just generic card that might be able to be useful during your opponent's turn.
Yeah, so this looks really intimidating, but realistically, if you look at what are the ways that we're interacting here, it's what? The Sprite Red and Double Dragon Lords?
Right now, yep, those are the only face-up interruptions.
And we're locked into level 2, rank 2, link 2. So you could see IP Masquerena here to get some follow-up play on Mateo's turn.
Yeah, he would just have to link away the Gigantic or the Bear Brum, and it looks like he is going to link away Bear Brum and Farragut.
And you can trigger both of those effects as well.
For another copy of Sprite Sprint.
Sprint, all right.
That'll give him a form of disruption to be able to detach from the Gigantic if the opponent special summons a monster.
Chain Link 1 is Farragut. Chain Link 2 is Bear Brum. If you take a look at Sprite Sprint right there, if another monster is special summoned while this card is on the field, except during the damage step, attach 1 material from an Xyz monster you control, then target any monster on the field and return it to the hand. So just keep that in mind. It could be any monster, not necessarily the one that was summoned.
Could be pretty useful.
And we're going to get an Ash Blossom here,
which is negated by the Sprite Red, sending the Karas, and now he's going to use the Branded Sword to add the Mercurier to hand.
Looks like he had Ash Blossom there. I feel like he used this way earlier.
Like on the Gigantic, maybe? Yeah, or no, the red was out immediately. So he was, or the carrots are, no, that's when
the red was out immediately.
The red was out immediately, so he's probably waiting, or hoping not to use it, so holding it in his hand, but now eventually forced to use it here.
I don't know, does he have something else in the hand as well? There's no Imperm. everything just seems to be going off with a hitch. So I'm just trying to figure out.
I don't think he knows what Branded Sword does.
Yeah, like why are we using Ash Blossom now if we just didn't use it before?
A lot of people have been sleeping on Branded Sword. That's a card that I pack in my Branded Despia deck always, because you're able to do the same kind of combo in Branded Despia, but you banish the Mercurier with something like a Beasteel or something.
They're using the effect, banish it. Perhaps the question is if it works on the same turn it's sent.
It definitely
does. That's the point.
Oh, and he has Sprite Starter as well, so he's going to activate the starter here to maybe be able to grab Sprite Carrot from the deck as well. So he's going to have the double Dragon Lords, the Sprite Sprint interaction, Sprite Red, and Sprite Carrot potentially. And you just get the Sprite Blue into the Carrot as well, but you probably want to save the blue since you only have one now.
Yeah, and you only have the one starter as well.
So this is the one starter, and you happen to draw it. Nice. Yeah, starter plus Nimble Beaver is always a strong hand for the deck. He chained it to the Branded Sword.
Chained it to the Branded Sword. And this is also another place where the graveyard doesn't go. It does not go in your spell and trap zones, and certainly not sideways across them.
So the Bear Brum is going to resolve since the Ash Blossom was negated to add Tri-Brigade Revolt. See, that's another thing. When I used to play Tri-Brigade, it is optimal to do Farraget first Chain Link 1 and Bear Brum Chain Link 2, so you don't have the chance of drawing that Revolt off the Farraget. But you could flip it around and do it the other way, and you don't have to worry about Ash Blossom on your Bear Brum. Even though he had the red to negate the Ash, you would have been able to not have to like force to use the red on the Ash potentially.
All right, now the graveyard is going into its proper spot.
It's going to take that 1,000 damage from that Sprite Starter. When you play with electricity, sometimes they're going to take a little bit of damage.
All right, so he's got Revolt, Red, Carrot, Double Dragon Lords. That's a lot.
And Sprite Sprint.
That is a lot, and Sprint.
The Revolt, he's going to have to clear up. He's going to have to use the Red and the Carrot first before he can really. He needs to at least get 2 open monster zones. So he'll probably be looking to use Sprite Sprint first, so he can detach the material from the Gigantic, and then he can use the Red or the Carrot to tribute Gigantic, and then that'll open his zones up enough to be able to make. Oh, that's the best card.
That is the card.
That is the best card against this deck right now.
The card.
Main deck, Dark Ruler, no more. That's going to negate all face-up monsters on his opponent's side of the field.
All right, now we've got a game.
Yeah,
although we're down in Ash Blossom for. I don't know.
He's still going to have to like navigate the Tri-Brigade Revolt, because he'll still be able to activate the effects of Red and Carrot, pay the cost to tribute the monsters off the field to open up the space to where he'll be able to use the Revolt.
Oh!
Tinny Spirit Ashuna. So maybe hinting at, I'd imagine he's playing Sword Soul. Could be Tinny Pure, but we'll have to see. But since he controls no monsters, he can special summon Tinny Spirit Ashuna from the hand to the field.
All right, special summons that in attack mode.
This is going to prompt a second to think.
Interesting. Let's see the face down. Would it just be a disruptive trap?
Bottomless Trapple? Perhaps? Oh, Sprite
no,
Smashers.
Sprite Smashers.
That's a good one. It's going to be able to banish a Sprite card from the graveyard.
And one from the field.
And that's going to free up the field also for the Revolt.
Ooh, but he's banished the... Oh, we're letting him take it back. Generally speaking, you can't.
Oh, it looks like he might have a response, so that's what he was waiting on. He's going to hold on for a second. He pays the cost for Sprite Smashers, and now that gives Juan a chance to respond.
Right, so that's part of the effect.
Heavenly Dragon Circle.
That's a great response.
Heavenly Dragon Circle, quick play spell, lets him tribute a worm off his side of the field, and then he'll be able to add a Tinny from his deck to the hand. Or any worm monster, so you can even go after something like a Sword Soul monster if that is what he's playing. This is me just assuming he's playing pure Tinny up to this point.
Just any worm monster from deck to hand. That's such a good response, because Smashers is still gonna have to resolve as much as possible.
They'll at least get to banish the Heavenly Dragon Circle off the field.
Yeah, to stop the graveyard effect.
But he's gonna have to lose something on his side. But it's kind of beneficial to lose the monster on the field so he can open up the zones for that Tri-Brigade Revolt.
Now it's interesting. So if he does get rid of the Gigantic, that also removes the Sprite Sprint disruption as well, because there's no longer something with Xyz material.
Yeah, he's under Dark Ruler no more, so not worried too much about that right now. But the Dark Ruler no more, the downside of using it in a deck like this, you're not going to be able to finish off your opponent, and Tri-Brigade Sprite has a decent amount of follow-up. Well, the Tri-Brigade part probably more than the Sprite part here in this situation.
And I believe right now we're waiting for the text check on Heavenly Dragon Circle for Yamashita. Here it is. It takes a look at it.
Neither player quite too familiar with the cards the other one is playing with.
Yeah, I don't think that Sword Soul's been the popular deck in Japan for quite some time.
It has been a while.
Like, multiple years at this point. Sword Soul's older than you think.
It does seem like it was just yesterday to me, but yes, quite a while. Burst of Destiny was some time ago.
And go Ash Blossom.
That is a huge Ash Blossom.
Now, Dark Ruler no more is not going to stop that.
Just going to be a sprinted branch to the Heavenly Dragon Circle. Now, does Juan have another Tinyi to follow up? If he has something like Vishuda, he could special summon Vishuda, link it away into Monk of the Tinyi, potentially. Use the Vishuda to return the Revolt to force it out right now. And then he'll have the Ashuna afterwards to be able to special summon from the deck. We'll have to see. He's already had to use a significant number of cards. We see 1, 2, 3, 4 being used. That means he should only have 2 cards left in hand.
Very deep in thought here. You don't want to waste your turn with Dark Ruler no more. Having to pass here would be devastating. And he goes into his extra deck, takes a look at his extra deck to see what he can make with those remaining cards. I have to imagine plans are being rewritten on the fly at great speed.
Yeah, Yamashita really definitely had a strong start. So it is long one discarding Adhara.
Ooh. Long one discard Adhara. All right. That's a 6. We're going to get the Sword Soul token. That's a 4. And 4 is a non-effect monster.
Yeah, if Yamashita uses Revolt here, he's going to use the double Dragon Lords to open up the space. Its effect's going to be negated, but he can still send that carrot as a cost. And now he's going to be able to activate Tri-Brigade Revolt.
So he can revolt for up to 3.
He could get the Bear Brum and the Farragut and go into Sure Egg. Or did they? No, I don't think only one of them was summoned. Yeah, so
one of them is summoned properly. You could do one and then 2 other random monsters.
Yep, he's gonna get the kid that's banished. I mean, this is looking really good here for Yamashita.
And this is the advantage to having, you know, things
the
like
layers.
trap cards in your deck.
Yeah, have diversifying your interruptions.
Like even if you don't play the Tri-Brigade stuff, right? Even cards like Sprite Double Cross give you ways to interact even after you've been hit with Dark Ruler no more. Like you can't just play Sprite and not know what your play is when you get hit by Dark Ruler no more, even if it's in game number 1.
Yeah, having that Ash Blossom and Revolt is huge here and be able to come back from that Dark Ruler no more. He's going to send Tri-Brigade Nerval to the graveyard with that Tri-Brigade kit, and that's going to add another copy of Tri-Brigade kit to the hand.
And for those keeping track at home, Dark Ruler no more only negates the effects of everything that's on the field at the same, like when it resolves. So anything else that's summoned afterwards, such as by a trap, like Tri-Brigade Revolt, is going to be just fine. So we go into battle. Longwan takes out double Dragon Lords.
Doesn't get the boost thanks to Dark Ruler no more. Doesn't take any damage thanks to Dark Ruler no more. But just sitting on a 1200 attack monster, I don't think Juan has much he's going to be able to do here to stop Yamashita from winning this game.
Yep, and he's got the kit. He can just banish a bunch of extra cards to get another free Link monster.
It's Rugal.
And then Rugal and Kit are being combined to make Access Code Talker. Access Code Talker is going to get really huge. And the combination of 3,200 from Gigantic Sprite, because it's got a Link monster, and the 53 and the 3,000 is a very large number that is significantly more than 8,000.
Yeah, that was just quite an epic game there for Japan, and being able to win like that, it really shows you why the Tri-Brigade Sprite deck is actually pretty good. You mentioned Double Cross is solid, but being able to also have the Revolt, it not only gets you that interruption, it gets you the follow-up as well to one Tri-Brigade monster can lead you into something like Access Code Talker.
Like, Sprite Double Cross does one thing one time. Tri-Brigade Sure Egg does one thing many times, and another thing if it gets destroyed as well.
Yeah, you get to add more follow-up as well. I'm a huge Tri-Brigade fan, so to see it doing well here on the world stage, fantastic. And yeah, it really shows that you need, that's the thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. Sometimes you could build these really impressive boards, but there's so many blowout cards, like Evenly Matched, Dark Ruler, or more, even like the old school stuff like Dark Hole, Regeki, that you'd have to like worry about. But as long as you can diversify your options, like, that's why I like Monadium. You can set stuff like Monadium Reframing, Sprite Double Cross for Sprite. If you go back to tier limits, just being able to have like a Suliak or a tier limits Crime, having multiple layers of disruption is really important in a long tournament, because you're going to be facing, people are going to be prepared for your deck. They're going to have these cards in their main deck or side deck ready to disrupt your board. So diversifying your portfolio when you're building that turn one board, very important in today's game.
And if you thought, you know, Sword Soul seemed a little old, wait till you find out the Tri-Brigade was the year before that in the same time slot in Phantom Rage.
It was, yeah, Tri-Brigade, both these kind of old school decks, with all the decks with the combined list kind of not being as strong as they might be in each individual OCG or TCG format, kind of has an open window for these other decks that we haven't seen in quite some time.
Tri-Brigade coming out in the same set as Virtual World.
It's been a while. Zeus, that's probably an iconic card that made its debut in Phantom Rage.
Whereas Sword Soul got to hang out with one particular Destiny hero.
I think his name was Destroyer, Phoenix
Enforcer?
Enforcer?
Phoenix Enforcer. Those came out in the same set. So both of those sets are very similar in a lot of ways, where they had like a type-based deck that's been a mainstay of tournaments ever since, and also an incredibly powerful extra deck monster that a ton of people play or played. Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer had some extenuating circumstances behind why it became so generic, as opposed to Zeus just kind of having it built in.
I do like Destroyer in something like Vanquish Soul, though. That's another deck you can kind of like splash it into, because you can reveal the dark.
Fusion Destiny stuff.
Yep, just have to draw it, and then when you draw it, you get that additional monster on the field, and I can see Destroyer making a comeback in the future, just kind of like Sword Soul as well. It's like the cards are very strong. Maybe you're not seeing play right now, but in the future, they'll come back. Also, one of my favorite parts about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the cards that you love, they don't just go away forever. They're always around. There will be, as the games change, new cards come out, you can find those old strategies and find success with them in the future.
I can tell you for sure, I can guarantee you that it has been 0 days since somebody has normal summoned Alistair the Invoker. I know it's happened.
No, somewhere someone is normal summoning Alistair.
The same goes for Ray. The same goes for all sorts of different things as well. So make sure you always hold on to your cards. You never know when it's all going to come back. Yep. But in terms of like the generic extra deck cards, right? Those Verte Anaconda powered things, even Dragoon's back.
Nope.
All right, round number 3, game number 2. Our players are shuffled up, and now everybody knows what we're dealing with here.
All right, shuffle, shuffle, cut, cut.
And SwordsoulMateo is going first. Got his 5 cards.
Let's see what Juan's going to be able to do with his Sword Soul strategy going first. Let's see if we'll see something like Sword Soul of Moye. Juan is in his main phase 1, contemplating his options here. Is it going to be... Oh, Incredible Ecclesia.
All right, Incredible Ecclesia. Well, that gives away the ghost here. This is, in fact, Tenyi Sword Soul.
Nothing like Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring to stop it.
So Ecclesia's effect is special summon a Sword Soul monster, the Sword Soul of Moye.
So allow Juan to reveal a worm in the hand, reveals another copy of Moye. Interesting.
Oh, that's getting hit by infinite permanence.
Doesn't have the Heavenly Dragon Circle this time. This is like the ideal time to have Heavenly Dragon Circle.
Strong imperm here from Yamashita.
Oh no, just sets 1 and passes.
That's tough.
Hopefully it's something like Sword Soul Blackout or something like that.
Blackout would be excellent here. One of the ways you beat Sprite is to just keep the level 2s off the field. Oh, anti-spell fragrance.
Not too shabby. But if he has something to change from the hand...
yeah, like if you have the 1 starter again, like he did last game.
That would be brutal.
He does not, but he does have the Nimble Beaver, which is also going to start everything off.
And even with all the limitations of Sprite, I still kind of like it for this tournament because it's just one of those decks you just have to draw a copy of Nimble Beaver and you get to pretty much have your full combo just from that one card.
And it's gonna resolve.
See if he goes to grab the Nimble Angler again like he did in game number 1.
All right, so we're gonna special summon one level 3 or lower Nimble monster, deck a graveyard. It's gonna be Nimble Angler.
So now he has an option here just to go into Sprend. Yep, and looks like he's going to link summon for Sprite Sprend. Trying to send another copy of Nimble Angler to graveyard. Doesn't have the red like he did in the first one.
But he is going to send Kit.
Oh.
Kit's going to trigger as well.
Looks like he's going for a Tri-Brigade line. Maybe he's trying to access something like Tri-Brigade Karas since he's already used his normal summon.
We're going to have interaction here as Kit can go through. It does go through, Nerval's activated, and that's going to draw out the Ash Blossom.
Doesn't want to let him get that Tri-Brigade Karas, knowing that it will continue on for more Tri-Brigade monsters.
So it's the Sprite side of things that are really limited. Like, there's not a lot of Sprites that you can follow up with. So maybe he doesn't have any. If there's no extension here...
Yeah, he would need one of the Dark Sprites, too, and those are both limited.
Because it's the Link 2 monster.
Yep. A good tip if you're wondering how certain the Sprite monsters cannot summon if you have a Link or an Xyz. The Fire ones can summon when you have the Link, and the Dark ones can summon off the Fire ones, vice versa.
Does he have something else in hand to keep going? No. Yamashita has to set one card and pass, and play is back over to Mateo.
And we know he has that Moye in hand. So
brutal impermanence, but he's able to get through it, and that's probably a spell face down as well.
Potentially, yeah. So I'd imagine Juan doesn't have another worm in his hand, since that he needed to summon the Moye to reveal Moye. Because that's not something you'd want to reveal, ideally, but maybe he'll have even just a normal summon of Moye into... It's tough.
What if that's Revolt, though?
Oh, he's longing one, discarding the Moye. Interesting. Let's see, he could synchro with the Moye or the long one.
Now, I think he's going to go straight into Baron here, or is he going to get to Chi-Xiao first? Do you get the protection right away, or do you get this the more limited negation that also gets you the card?
It's tough, because yeah, if you go for the Chi-Xiao route, you could be looking at winning the game this turn. The Baron might be a little more safe. But I feel like if he was going to try and win the game this turn, he would have started with the normal summon of Moye, revealing long one to go into the Chi-Xiao potentially. But that would have also gotten... He didn't want to lose to another copy of Infinite Impermanence, so going for the long one a little safer here. But he goes for Chi-Xiao. He has the option to banish Blackout off the Chi-Xiao here, so he'll be able to get Chi-Xiao and Baron.
All right, we're going Chi-Xiao. That is going to resolve. Moye draws one card.
Chainlink 1, Chi-Xiao. Chainlink 2, Moye. Oh, he's going to concede.
Yamashita concedes. He concedes here in game number 2. I actually think that's a pretty smart concession. You don't want to reveal whatever that face-down card was, and your chances of winning this one are little to none.
Yeah, definitely. Don't want to give up too much time is the big thing here. Because that game 1 was a little long because both players are kind of having to get some translations on the cards they might not have been as familiar with. But now, evening things out. I mean, sometimes when you just lose to having an infinite permanence on the Moye, just having that one Speller Trap, it's rough. But when it's Anti-Spell Fragrance right out of the side deck, assuming, could be main decking Anti-Spell Fragrance. It would be a little bold option there, but...
Yeah, not in a trap card format.
I wouldn't think so, yeah. It doesn't do much against Labyrinth. But to see it out, to be able to play through, the field just needed that one interruption to be able to capitalize and draw into the worm. I mean, we have to assume that he drew the longy one for turn, yeah. I'd imagine. Otherwise, he'd be able to start with a normal summon of Moye as well, as opposed to the Incredible Ecclesia. Because Incredible Ecclesia is a card you want to save for when your opponent has monsters, to where you can special summon it from your hand if you can. You don't really want to use it as your normal summon, because then you're also going to open yourself up to something like Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, or Infinite Permanence as well.
So Anti-Spell is an interesting one in Sword Soul in particular, because it can really hurt you too. Like, you need things like Emergence or Heavenly Dragon Circle to keep things rolling, especially in response to like a negation, for instance. So if there was a second Imperm for existence and he couldn't chain with a freshly drawn Heavenly Dragon Circle, it could backfire against him.
Yeah, and it cut off like the option to add a Sword Soul Emergence off the Chi-Xiao even as well, same kind of thing.
But in general, though, putting anti-spell in against Sprite is pretty safe, because so many Sprite decks also run runic cards. Runic cards do not like anti-spell fragrance very much, but we haven't seen any sign of that in this match. So you must feel like even with just the regular Sprite cards, anti-spell is still the way to go here.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's interesting. Maybe he just didn't expect Tri-Brigade Sprite going into it, so maybe not having too many cards prepared in his side deck for that matchup. So you kind of look through your side deck and what is the best option I have going against this deck, and anti-spell probably reaches the top of that list, where it's not completely devastating to Sprite, but it can get you there, and it seemed like it did a pretty good job there. At least the big thing it can counter is the other side deck cards that they're putting in against you going second.
Yes, a lot of the removal spells, that sort of thing. It's one of those, you just, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like, that's the thing. A lot of players want just absolute control over their tournament experience, is why some of them enjoy, deck or formats like the tier element format, where everybody's playing tier element, where everybody's playing Zodiac.
Like you're going to play what you expect.
And that gives them kind of maximum control over their deck list. So I get the appeal of that, but for a lot of people, part of the appeal of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that so many different things can happen all at once.
That's my favorite
I'm more
part.
on that. Yeah, I'm more on that as well.
I always, when I'm building my side deck, I'm trying to prepare for everything.
All right, we're ready for game number 3. We're getting the final cuts from the two duelists, and we will see who, if anyone, is going to be victorious in this round. You do want to avoid draws. I really don't like having draws on my record.
Because, I mean, it feels like a half loss. So
Yeah.
you want the 3 points. You don't want just 1 point. You want your full 3 points from the round.
2/3 of a loss.
Ooh, so starting off with Albion the Shrouded Dragon, might be looking to draw into a card, may not have anything else, or he just might as well go for it right now before he thins his deck out at all. So Albion the Shrouded Dragon lets him send a branded spell or trap to the graveyard or Fauna Albaz, and then returns to the bottom to draw a fresh card. Depending on where you return the Albion from, it has a different effects. If you send from your hand, it'll special summon from the hand. If it's in your graveyard, it just goes to the bottom and sends, but you don't get the draw.
So we're pitching Kit to special summon Karis.
Classic combo.
And that's going to resolve. And now we've got Kit effect.
Thinking here, you have to Ash here if you have it, I think.
It's tough because you don't know what the Sprite side of things in the hand are. That's part of why this combination is so effective. And he does have the Ash. Do we see a counter to that?
He did Ash the Kit. Yep. So the one thing that you can do in Tri-Brigade now, there is a Link 1 Beast Warrior. So he'll be able to summon one of my favorite cards, and that's going to be Scareclaw Lightheart.
There it is. Now let's see where this goes. It doesn't go into a planet.
It goes into a
sprint. It does go into
Sprint.
Sprite Sprint. You only need one level 2 monster for that.
No infinite impermanence.
So this is going to go, and he's going to be able to send the Angler and get more materials. There it is. Now you've already used your Ash this turn.
Yeah, I mean, this is where the Tri-Brigade deck kind of puts you in a bad spot. If you don't Ash that Kit, you know that they're going to have the 2 to already banish for the Karas. But if you do, they still have plays here to go into the Sprite line. But the Sprite line can lead you to the Tri-Brigade line, because even though he used the Karas effect, he still has the Kit effect to be able to banish from the graveyard, which he'll eventually do with something like Gigantic Sprite to summon Kit from the deck, potentially. So the Sprint sent the Angler, summons the 2 Nimble Beavers. Now he can overlay with either the 2 Beavers or the Sprint and the Beaver.
Yeah, so your next chance to interrupt them is going to be on the summon of Gigantic Sprite.
Yeah, if he has something like Infinite Permanence, it would be huge. If he doesn't, it's going to be a tough hill to climb.
And we summon how many times here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are in Nibiru territory.
Looks like he does decide to overlay the Sprite Sprint. Gets to put Gigantic Sprite in defense mode.
That's going to resolve. We are no longer in Nibiru territory, because if you take a look at Gigantic Sprite over there, both players are locked into 2s after it resolves successfully.
Indeed, and it looks like here comes Sprite Blue. So he's going to go for the Sprite line. That's going to add him a Sprite monster. Could be Carrot, Red, or Jet, and it's going to be Sprite Jet.
He's got the level 2 on the field, so all the sprites are unlocked. And special summon the Jet next.
Sprite Jet will let him add a Sprite Speller Trap. The electric current is connecting right now.
Let's see if he goes for a further extender with starter. He's going to get Smashers as removal.
Smashers pretty good against Sword Soul. The big thing against Sword Soul is you just want to keep getting the token off the field. That level 4 water tuner token is definitely something they need to require to use all of their cards.
And he did pull it out of the deck. He wanted to put it back in and possibly reconsider. He can't do that.
He's like, wait, maybe I want starter.
Nope. Once you put it there, it's definitely there.
A card laid is a card played. Or so I hear.
And we're going for another XC summon here. Get a rank 2.
Mannequin Cat.
Mannequin Cat.
Could be Mannequin Cat. Could be. We'll have to see. Don't know about all the options he has in his extra deck available to him.
A lot of times
Melfield the
in
Forest.
2 and 3 it is. Oh, it's Gin Buster.
That's an old school one. At least it's going to be able to negate a monster. Oni has Tri-Brigade Fractal as well.
Fractal 2. Wow. Yeah, so number 65 Gin Buster specifically needs 2 level 2 dark monsters, that's why you don't see it quite as much in a lot of these combos, because they have specific materials. But when you can get to it, you can negate any monster effect your opponent activates and deal 500 damage to your opponent.
So the Nerval is going to add Kit, because he used the Ash Blossom on the Tri-Brigade Kit earlier, so he still has that Nerval effect to be activated. I mean, he was forced to use it on the Kit. Definitely not a mistake here from Juan at all.
We've got...
Oh no, he started with Karas, that's right.
Started with Karas, yes, pitching the Kit.
So banishes 2 from the graveyard to special summon a Link 2. I'm liking this Tri-Brigade Sprite deck.
He goes with Bear Brum. Now those 2 are being linked away. We get Ferrigit. Ferrigit and Bear Brum also going away, and they'll become another copy of Sprint.
Sprite Sprint, the gift that keeps on giving, going to be able to add the Revolt, also draw a card and put one on the bottom.
So Revolt, Gin Buster, Sprint seems pretty good.
Pretty solid. Plus, with the Ferrigit, he's able to sculpt his hand a little bit. Maybe get some more points of disruption, something like an Infinite Permanence or Ash Blossom that we saw him using in game number 1 and 2.
Swaps these out, and we know he's got the starter as well, or the smashers rather as well, as long as that's not the card that was restored. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 different things that he can stop.
We do know that Juan plays copies of Dark Ruler no more, but that Revolt is definitely a problem. He would need Harpy's Feather Duster, Dark Ruler no more, if that is a card he uses.
Not really anything to take out both traps at once. Like, there are a number of options you could have.
Lightning Storm, Twin Twisters even. Thinking, looking through the graveyard, trying to see maybe what his options are to bring back with the Tri-Brigade Revolt.
The fact that remember to check the banish cards as well.
That's what I was about to say. The best part about Tri-Brigade Revolt, it's able to summon from the banish, which you're not only going to reuse stuff like Nerval that you banished, you're also putting those Beast Warriors, and Wing Beasts back into the graveyard.
So, we're going to the battle phase
some
now.
Of the scariest words in Yu-Gi-Oh! Enter battle phase when you have that open field.
Oh,
that would be a good board breaker here.
I mean, if you know what it is, go ahead and type it now. So
it could also be a bluff.
Phase. Yeah, they got to draw out the Revolt. That would be pretty good if before end of main phase we get Revolt. Revolt brings something out, and then you Dark Ruler no more.
He's going to do Ferrigit, Kit, and Nerval, so that's 3 monsters, but enough to make a Link 4. Or you could go for Rugal.
Rugal will be an interesting choice here, but it is going to be Shrek.
So Kit and Nerval are going to activate. Kit will send, and always use all three. Yep, and Farragut as well. This is also kind of cool with the Farragut and the Nerval. You can kind of just add a Tri-Brigade even if you don't really want it in your hand, and then draw with the Farragut and basically swap it out for your fresh draw. So you could maybe potentially draw into some sort of monster effect you might be able to use from your hand.
They're ordering chain links right there. It's Farragut 1, Nerval 2, Kit 3. We're going to send the Mercurier.
I like that you always have that to send with the Kit when you don't need the Nerval. That's nice.
Add another Kit. And then we gotta randomize the deck.
I'm gonna have to dust off my Tri-Brigade cards. I'm gonna build this Tri-Brigade Sprite deck after the World Championship. I think it's pretty cool.
Then draw one and put one back on the bottom. And then we're gonna eat an evenly matched.
Tough. See, yeah, I think if you had to. I think maybe it might have been better to just wait on the Revolt and keep Revolt when you get evenly matched. Because now he's just going to keep the Gin Buster. Is that the option? I guess maybe the downside, if you keep the Gin Buster, you get the follow up from the Revolt. There's a lot of different options to consider here in this situation. But evenly matched is a huge card here for Juan.
Loses the Smashers.
He's just going to keep that Gin Buster. The Sprint also goes face down.
Oh, the Sprint was...
Oh, it was the materials.
Yeah, that was the materials.
Okay.
The other Sprint is face down.
He summoned two of them, yep.
All right, now we're headed into main phase 2. We get Pot of Desires.
One of the best cards in the Sword Soul deck. Banishes the top 10. You play 3 of pretty much everything, so you're not really too worried about it, but he is going to get hit by Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring.
Better that than on a search effect, though. Dark Ruler no more. He had evenly matched Dark Ruler. That's pretty good.
Moye Reveal a Worm.
Moye Reveal a Worm. It was a 10E2. I think that was a Shana.
It was. And he's going to synchro for Chi-Chao. He's going to get Chi-Chao Chainlink 1, Moye Chainlink 2. Draws a card, gets to add a Sword Soul card from, add or banish a Sword Soul card from the deck to his hand.
He's checking to see, where's my blackout? What am I getting here?
He could still, I mean, he's going to get Long Yuan, I imagine, if he doesn't have it, because he'll be able to discard that Ashuna and special summon Long Yuan. He'll be able to use Ashuna from the graveyard if he so chooses, or he could just go into Baron DeFleur.
I'll tell you, here's another place the graveyard isn't, the main monster zone. I'm going to get on every single one of their cases when they do it, and just every one.
So he is going to use the Ashuna, so he's going to be locked into Worms now, so no Baron DeFleur going to be coming down, but we'll see what he decides to go for. Is he thinking about Psychic and Punisher? I saw him grabbing the Vashuda. No, can't do that.
Turn.
Can't do that.
I don't know.
You can't do that. You cannot link summon while that token is on the field.
Yep, you certainly cannot.
But, I mean, I guess it's kind of inconsequential if he just synchroed first. I guess he could link it away afterwards.
Yeah, like there is a way to do this. It's just do it in the opposite order.
He's calling a judge because he realizes, yeah, he can't do that. I don't think Juan understands.
I don't think Juan understands what he did wrong here. But what he did wrong is synchro summoning with the token on the field, or link summoning with the token on the field.
It would still. It's just essentially the order. He's playing pretty quick, pretty excited about the position he's in, but yep.
Yeah, it's literally you just do it the other way and it works.
And doesn't burn with Long Yuan. He needs this one. I think needs maybe time is winding. I mean, if time is winding down, then you want to burn with the Long Yuan, but he needs to take it, slow it down maybe a little bit. Playing a little too quickly here.
And you can see he's got the mat sleeves there. He just dropped it a little bit because they're slick. Now, the Sinister Long Yuan there.
Very good.
Very, very good right now. Synchro summon it, and another worm monster while it's on the field. You draw a card, but if your opponent special summons a monster, you can banish one of them, deal damage. If your opponent activates a spell, trap card, or effect, you can banish it and deal damage. 1,200 each, you can do both in the single turn.
Missed the activation for that Long Yuan. Gonna summon the kid. He does also has the Chi-Chow on the field, which will allow him to banish a card from the graveyard to negate a monster effect.
Just checking here whether or not you want to use that right now. He's going to banish. Not. This effect's going to go through. Going to banish 1, 2, 3.
Let's see if he does the Chi-Chow or not. He's going to be able to use the Mercurial. That's the best part about it.
That's not a cost, right?
It is a cost, yeah.
To banish?
I think so. The Tri Brigades is a cost, yep. So he'll be able to add the Albion the Shrouded Dragon. That's the thing about Albion the Shrouded Dragon. It's the gift that keeps on giving. You're able to add it to your hand every turn since you keep returning it to the deck.
Yeah, time is, in fact, running low in the round.
Which you'd think by playing fast, the one effect you wouldn't want to miss is the burn effect from that long one as time's running down. But I think that situation where he made the monk kind of threw him off of it a little bit.
Yep. So the optional effect, it's optional, right? The long one effect, so it appears he just didn't activate it.
He's asking him to play a little faster. Now it is back to Juan.
And you don't want this draw. You want to at least get into a battle phase here.
It looks like he is going to say battle phase, go to attack. I think he would already have game if he just...
Actually, you know what? He couldn't get the damage from Long Yuan.
Oh, Dark Ruler no more. I forgot all about that.
It's also
okay.
effect damage.
There you go. So no miss damage there.
I'd forgotten that he had played it. He just threw all that together so fast. And
because
then
he realized he got
order.
to that point in the turn and was playing so quickly. That makes a lot of sense. That's my bad.
Now that's a lot of damage too here. It might be the case that the long one can just finish the game off. So main phase 2, he's going to go ahead and summon Incredible Ecclesia. That's going to be tributed off.
Summon something like SwordsoulMateo. I wonder why he just didn't do this before battle phase?
To make sure he gets into battle phase. Like, this is a case where the result of what he's doing here is probably going to run out the rest of the clock.
No, I guess. I would still like to win. Like, I'd like to attack for game. I don't know.
It would be game, wouldn't it?
It would have been.
It would have just been game.
I think, yeah, the time thing is kind of a lot of pressure going on here. Like, this is not the way I would want to. I'd rather win by attacking than running under the clock. Tinker, so Draco Berserker, the Tenyu. Another good one.
And now he can send a Sword Soul card.
Or any worm. Here goes Ashuna to the graveyard.
They're checking it. The time has run out. And at the end of the phase, because SwordsoulMateo Augusto Renteria Pastor has more life points, he is the winner. Although we do believe he could have just won.
Yeah, I think that whole last 2 turns, yeah, when he was trying to speed up through time, kind of playing a little sloppy, just maybe nervous, like don't want, the game is in his hands. He doesn't want to throw it away because he just didn't enter his battle phase or something like that.